right. It's Monday again.
Yeah.
This really goes too fast.
Every week, man. We get a week older. Power and Speed, we are 908-751-0211.
And like us on the Facebook, but more so on iTunes. And tell
Tad
people,
actually made it. He wasn't going to show up today.
I know. I pushed it and I made it here.
Oh, yeah, you pushed through the pain.
I did, you bastard.
Let's give him a little credit. He did.
He did make it. He walked in about 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So, but thank you for making it, Todd. We appreciate that.
My new time. Now I get here whenever.
In the pain that you're in.
Yeah.
Tad's got the gout or some nonsense.
Yeah, real fun stuff.
And if we look at your food postings, we don't have to wonder how that could possibly happen.
No seafood, no alcohol. You know, it's okay. A little bit of Taco Bell, but
a little bit.
You know,
we're not judging.
Yeah, I missed the hot dogs here tonight. That's my punishment. So
yeah,
and they were just like you like them, Todd. Big, giant, thick hot dogs. They're exactly what you always talk about.
Except for the picture you sent me of the one dingling there broke.
Wow.
And we won't even get on your Will Smith fetish because that was a little weird too. We'll just leave that for another time because I don't want to drag you through the mud.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Cartoons, you got to watch this cartoon.
Hey, cartoons are cool.
I still contend,
not Disney ones,
that How to Train Your Dragon was a good cartoon.
I never saw that.
I enjoyed it.
Wait, you didn't? And he still talks to you?
I'll watch it tonight.
You should.
There you go.
It was worthwhile. I mean, like that kind of stuff.
I thought you were talking about Bugs Bunny and shit like that.
No, you can still get
stuff.
But you can still see a lot of Tom and Jerry and like Bugs Bunny like beating on each other and everything else on Cartoon Network or Boomerang or whatever the hell it is.
Yep.
It's on there because I'm watching it. I'm like, oh my god, I haven't seen Bugs Bunny, slug anybody in a long time.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And you're surprised they haven't tried to get this all out of the kids' minds because it's bad. Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
we grew up with it.
I liked the one when Rocky was on the Bugs Bunny thing. The criminal guy, and he was playing to be a baby, and then Bugs Bunny sees him at night shaving. Just funny. He had a tattoo about Singapore.
All the old school stuff is pretty hilarious.
That's awesome.
So
let's hate on people. I know we can't.
I'd like to.
I know.
I'd really like to. I mean, there was quite a bit going on the Facebook.
Yeah, with this whole cylinder head
on the Facebook
controversy. It's really not a controversy. It's kind of settled science.
I believe it is. I believe it is. Do we even want to get into this? Because I'm not. I don't want to call the guy out because he's a guy who has a name in this industry.
Yep.
But I just look. We try to do this. I mean, let's see who we've had on here, and you have more guys coming.
Yep.
But I mean, we have technical guests, so people learn something.
Yep.
And there's been a ton of things that I've said I have no clue. Like you just asked me, well, what about an LS2 head? And you said it's whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's too many variants or what,
No. What we were talking about
was just stuff.
Right. Square ports or rectangular ports or whatever came on what versus cathedral.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know what they come on because I don't pay attention to it. I mean, at least I didn't.
Never did. Yeah.
No.
Till now.
Till down.
But, yeah, I mean, that whole theory. I mean, well, first of all, that test. And yeah, I don't want to hammer the guy either. I don't even know the guy. Is he some kind of name or something?
Well, I mean, he sells parts.
I
don't know if he's a car builder. I don't know.
I've never heard of him.
And
maybe that's bad. I mean, because I claim to know everybody, but
I think some people use camshafts from him, and he's got Billy Godbold, who I talked about in the very beginnings of this podcast.
Yeah, he's a wizard.
He's a fantastic guy.
He's like a ninja.
He got me.
Watch it. You're stealing somebody's name.
He got me in a direction of flat topic camshafts that, like, probably, I'm not going to say it was magic, but it was things that, like, the average guy answering the telephone at Comp or one of the places, they'd never recommend this to somebody because they knocked the nose off the thing.
Right.
There was a lot you needed to know to use it.
Right.
They were things that Billy was involved with. And, so good cam guy. So he sells cams that Billy was behind. So I give the guy credit. He talks to the smart people. I can't even begin to explain how something as wrong as that dyno test can permeate the internet. I can't even begin. I can't even understand how somebody could even think. Now, that's one of a couple things had to happen here. A, the data's invalid. Something went wrong.
Well, the data is invalid based on a couple of things that had to happen. Some bad something.
Had to be.
Yeah.
I think so. So either the LS7 head that they used, LS7 type head was no good.
Junk.
That's number one.
Yep.
The data was just bad for whatever reason. Like you said, motor's blowing up.
Yep.
Something's going wrong.
Diesel fuel.
Diesel fuel. Yeah. Or the last thing is that somebody left 2 rags in intake ports.
Yeah.
I mean,
couple plugs out, something.
Left a spark plug out or dropped a couple on the floor and it closed. I mean, I don't even know what to say, but that's 200 horsepower.
Right.
Now, hold up. Let me qualify that.
Go.
I would agree that you could have a scenario where that particular head could be better than maybe an LS7 type head. But when you give supporting data between the 2 heads, one has a bigger valve, one has a smaller valve. Mm-hmm. And I understand about valve placement and inline, not inline, whatever, right?
Blah, blah. Yep.
There is no way you could have a head that flows that much better, that has a bigger valve. I don't care how bad the exhaust is, that this thing is going to be down 200.
No.
And to further point out, just again, not bashing the guy, but I'm going to use exactly what he said in the Facebook thread to explain why I believe that I'm correct. Mm-hmm. When I had asked him, kind of flat, I called him out. I'm a dick.
I know.
And I said, look, why don't we lock something up for money? I'll put up all the test stuff. We'll do it. And I think you said you'd bet your house, your cars, whatever.
Some cash, whatever.
Why don't we do this test? Stock Cathedral versus stock, LS3.
Yep.
Twin turbo. Let's see what makes more power.
Yep.
And again, and I said average from say 4,000 to 7.
Whatever.
Probably could even said 3,000 to 7. I don't care.
Whatever. Yeah.
And he says, and I said, your contention is going to be that this motor would be down maybe 200 horsepower. And he wrote, it might, but the peak horsepower should be about the same because it will profile to the compressor wheel of the turbos. So because it's airflow. Mm-hmm. Does that only apply to turbochargers?
No. Boost is boost, no?
I would tend to think so. Well, again.
We apparently don't know anything.
Yes, because after 25 years of building engines, I'm exceedingly stupid.
That centrifugal to a roots blower is different with the boost, isn't it? Coming up on the RPM, you have the roots you have.
No, cylinder pressure.
Oh, yeah.
Boost is boost. I mean, if the gauge goes to 20.
Yeah, but gauge doesn't get 20 at lower on a roots charger. It would be, but a centrifugal, it comes up in a linear fashion, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, that's true.
Tad's talking about positive displacement.
Yeah,
so if you move more air, you would see a boost decrease. Now, somebody in the chat room said the boost was the same with both heads. I don't care. Something was wrong. Not only that, I can't even begin to argue this point because this is like one of those things that you would beat your head on the desk.
Was that person in the chat room at this dyno session?
Probably not. I'm telling you, look, that data was flawed.
No doubt.
If you guys want to take up a collection and figure out how much money you can get together amongst you, including the guy that did it, and you want to duplicate this test, we have somebody that I don't know if we can talk about offered to do this test exactly.
No, I think we can talk about it.
Okay.
The EFI University
said they would be glad to do the test. By the way, what was their opinion?
Their opinion was that there's no way that a cathedral port head would be better than a square port head.
Okay. And they're exceedingly stupid too.
Yeah, they are.
I might add. So,
last week I was in North Carolina. You know that, right?
Yes.
And I sent the picture. I was at Hendrick.
Again, a location full of exceedingly stupid people.
All idiots. Total bag of hammers down there.
Box of rocks?
Yeah. So, you saw the picture. I was at Hendrick Motorsports, and I was pulling out, and I saw Rick Hendrick, and that was cool. Like I drove by, and then I had to stop and back up, and
I asked you. I said to Tom, I said, "Did he recognize you?"
Yeah, I'm like, "No, he didn't fucking recognize me."
He's like, "Yeah, I'm Tom from Power and Speed." I said, "I meant from Manly." You dick.
No, he didn't recognize me, and I wouldn't have expected him to. So I backed up, and like a child, I was like, "Hey, Mr. Hendrick, do you mind if I take your picture?" And he gave me the thumbs up. Like I was like a big dork, you know. But it was cool. He's sitting there in that car, and it was just badass. But anyway, so I saw some pretty high end people down there, and because you were talking to me the whole time, and you were all fired up, and I was all fired up, I asked everybody, and I'm not going to name names, but I asked a couple people, 3 or 4 people that are pretty friggin' smart. One guy does pro stock heads for a top 3 team. Just people like that. And I'm not blowing smoke like I know anything, but I happen to know people that know a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And the consensus was there's no way.
Are you on crack?
Yeah,
I mean, like you
you
could even argue that, okay, could one have been maybe 10 horsepower better or 20 horsepower, maybe even 50?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if they have a pile of shit LS7 head, something untouched or whatever, and they have the best set of cathedral port heads on earth, could it be better? Yeah.
Yeah, but not 200.
Well, big point is, I was at a lot of shops, and I didn't see any cathedral port heads anywhere. And Chevy doesn't make them anymore. And they're not on anything. I mean, if they're so friggin' good, why are they not on everything on earth?
But if they don't make them anymore, why?
Exactly my point, Olive Boy.
Not only that,
Sorry.
not only that, didn't GM go into, they took the C5 and made a C5R for racing?
Yeah.
And that's a completely different deal.
Yeah, and they didn't weld it up to look
like a cathedral port.
They did not.
You know what I was thinking about this, because I'm like, why would GM do this?
Well, they're a bunch of
reason?
idiots too.
Yeah, they're
apparently
exceedingly stupid. There had to be a reason, and I'm wondering if it's what we talked about with some of the emission stuff, because I believe that looking at the shape of that port, and I'm sure the collective guys in the chat room could tell me, I wonder if the injector placement had something to do with that kind of pointed roof thing that sort of tapers away.
It could have.
Like, was that maybe an attempt at doing what you said and like trying to make cold start better?
Maybe.
Cold start
you know what? No, it might have been just, listen, we can go back. We actually have some history with this stuff. We have circle track guys that made provisions to bolt these things on 23-degree engines, and they killed them. You remember that? Remember CMS?
What head was it?
It was a cathedral port because it was the only thing out.
Yes.
And it was just a way better head than 23-degree. But then when they came out with the LS2, or the first square ports, they were better than the cathedral ports in all aspects, and the cathedral ports got canceled. So I don't know. It's that test is flawed. But I feel bad because this guy is somebody in the LS world. He is, and I'm a jerk off sitting here with a microphone. There's a couple differences. Well,
I don't care. I really don't.
I don't know how many engines he's done. I know how many you've done, and
but by the same token, and I don't mean to minimize what I was involved with. I was my dad's kid. I didn't pioneer all this stuff myself. Tommy Kling and my father were the ones that, basically did things, and I'll say it without saying it was a little easier back then. Less data, smarter guy, like the guy whose brain just worked, that could look at something and say, we can make this better. There was much more of that back then than there is now, because now it's more science driven.
Yeah.
It gets a little tougher.
Yep.
As seen by what happened with Cup.
Yeah.
With all the data gathering and everything they do.
Yep.
But no, I'm not, it's hard for me because it's not in my personality to be graceful.
No, I know that.
Yeah, I could say that again.
Come on, am I that bad?
Yeah,
Okay.
Today, hell yeah,
you're pretty bad.
But I don't. I'm trying to be nice to the guy, but look, again, I think that the test is invalid, and I would welcome him at any point in time if he'd like to schedule a time to come on the show. We'll debate it, we'll argue it, we'll talk about it. If he wants to get froggy and hit his pocket, get your money together. I don't care how much it is. I'll match you. We'll take a pair of box stock heads from this company, and we'll bring them right to EFI University. I'll even pay for your plane ticket. How do you like them apples?
Mine?
Not yours. You've got frequent flyer miles. Nothing for you.
Well, I wouldn't even take it that far. I would prefer to just do the test and be done with it.
Yeah, but then it's going to be that it's
let the numbers speak for themselves.
We did something wrong, or But this is one of the things. And look, I looked at the engine building 101 thread, and I came to a realization that a lot of these people that are posting stuff, they're saying things they don't know they're wrong.
Right. But they heard it somewhere. See, didn't we do this show a while back?
We did.
About the misinformation
We
deal?
did. We did. And but you see now, here's what bugged me.
It's rampant.
This misinformation appeared on a resource that we have some control over. So I use the term all the time, dog with a bone.
Yep.
Couldn't let it go.
Yeah. I know.
So no, that's the end of the cathedral port thing. Richard Mogul, I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear anything.
Yeah, we're gonna.
I don't want to hear, well, this guy went this, what, Rich, shut up. Don't want to hear it.
Don't call.
The discussion is over. If it needs to be revisited with a dyno test, we shall. But I see no reason to.
I don't either. Let's put some money where some mouths are, and then we'll get it done.
I'm all about the cash.
That's right.
Fine with me.
Always is. Hey, we got a caller.
Yes, we do. Maybe it's him.
No, it's our guest.
What's up?
Jason.
What's going on?
Hey, man.
I'm here.
All right, so everybody, this is Jason Hoots. Jason is a friend and a Dragweeker and a security wizard and a whole bunch of other stuff, some of which I can't say on the air. What's going on, dude?
Not much, man. How are you?
Good.
Well, this
We're
is
good.
Mike. It's kind of funny because the listeners were actually asking, could you get this guy on? And Tom's like, I know that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, where you been, Tom?
Yeah, Jay, I don't even know if I told you that. Some guy sent us a message, and he was like, hey, you ought to have Jason Hoots on. He blah, blah, blah. He did this, he did that. I'm like, shit, I know him. I'll just call him. And I did. So,
He probably thought the show was about sexual preference then.
yeah. He might have. If he's a friend of yours. So listen, tell us, I mean, you had an amazing drag week situation.
Yeah, it was fabulous. It was awesome.
And you saw the picture. You saw the picture we put up because you're responsible for it.
Yeah, I made that mistake, I guess.
Yeah, you did.
That was the conclusion of Drag Week.
I know. Did you really think we weren't going to put that up?
Oh, I guess I didn't think that through.
Well, tell us about tell us about your drag week.
Drag Week was drag day, except for the fact that we spent. I probably hadn't slept. That was Monday afternoon. That picture with me sleeping under the front of the car. And I probably slept Saturday morning. Drove through the night. I had the bright idea of the car's got it's a naturally aspirated small block Chevrolet, 402 inches, 23 degree, and it's got a Jericho 5-speed in it. And we knew the Jericho worked, but the Jericho's had some issues with a dozen passes. It's been back twice to be repaired. So we had a power glide and a converter. So I put that in before we left the shop, and I said, well, when we get there, we'll tech in the morning, and then we will make some passes with this automatic just to see where we're at with it in case the Jericho breaks, because we went to win. So if it wasn't gonna make it, then I was gonna get on the phone to Jericho and just have them send spare parts of whatever they thought we may need. Turned out that was a big mistake. Unloaded the car. The starter quit on the car. Like, I unloaded it, parked it, tried to start it up to go to tech at 1 o'clock. Wouldn't even hit. So this is on. Luckily, we were not too far from Jegs, and on Sunday, of course, you can take your truck, go wherever you've got access to the truck. But the starter it's got one of the full low pans on it, so it's got an offset starter. The guys with the Jegs picked up the starter, brought it back, wouldn't work. So we were in tech from 1 to 9:30, I think, is whenever we rolled out of tech. So the next morning, we knew we had 30 minutes, of driver's meeting, and then we had to impound the truck. So, well, the other guys that were meeting us there that were locals, they went to Jegs and picked up the right starter, brought it back, and while they were doing that, I unloaded everything from the 46-foot trailer that we had there that I thought I might need, not thinking about the fact that at the end of the day, that stuff's got to go somewhere. It's just going to sit in the parking lot in Columbus for a week.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, changed from the automatic back to the stick shift, finished it, and was the last car to roll through back of the staging lanes as they were closing them. I had to leave radials on the car because I was going to run radials with the automatic, slicks with the stick shift. Didn't want to do anything stupid, so I was the last car to make a pass. The fastest pass in the class that day had been a 988, if I'm right on that, at 139. I rolled out just like I was on the street and made the pass with that stick shift, and it went 985 at 149. which is
Whoa.
actually a good bit more mile an hour than anybody's ever been in with a small block NA car. And about 3/4 track, it kicked the accessory belt off, which is really, that one was running nothing but the alternator. But that was first issue. Got back to the pits, and we just had a lot of issues that me going at this event like a heads-up racer, I figured out was a mistake. Way too much stuff. Just not prepared for drag week. I was prepared to go to the racetrack, but not to drag week. And the car being so fast. I remember after the pass, and I rolled the parachute up, put it back in the car, I drove back to the pits, and all the guys were still down at the line. And I shut the car off, and I was like, if it would have been slow, I would have been in so much better mindset. But the fact that it went fast, I just cried. I sat in the car and cried. I was like, well, part of this went right. but yeah, so that was the deal. So the picture you got there is after that, everybody was gone from the track. Of course, they were making the trek to the next location, and they get started as quick as they can. And I had laid down there, and Jay Marr and his co-pilot, they ran down to a couple of parts stores to try to find another accessory belt because Jay had walked the track, couldn't find it. And that was just kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. Too much stuff in the trailer. We were going to have to leave some stuff there. So,
Wow.
the owner of the car was there with me. He lives in Bermuda, so the car lives with me. And we were just like, you know what? Let's regroup and do this right next year. So it was it'd been the thing. We've been building that thing for a couple of years. The car itself, and I mean, it's a nice piece. You know, it is a Mustang, but it's still a nice piece. A lot of nice parts on it. Yeah, it's just another Fox body Mustang.
Yeah.
So
the plan for this year. Sorry.
Yep.
Plan for this year is similar?
No, go for it. No. Nothing. Nothing will be the same except for the people in the car.
Okay.
We've got, I've already started, revamping the trailer and just regrouped a lot of the stuff that I thought we would take. When you go to a heads-up race and you take everything, 2 or 3 of everything, that's one thing. But, this trailer, we're gonna be a little bit more picky with the parts that we take. And if the automatic, I'll test the automatic before we go, of course, so we'll know. But we know that trans would work, but we want to win, and I want to run A80 in that car. So the stick shift's fast. I mean, it's that 5-speed in the car. It's very efficient. So it's a fun. And you want to talk about fun on the street? This is the first real good naturally aspirated program that I've been involved with, and it's fun. On the street, it's got a 275/60R Mickey Thompson, so not the Pro, but the R tire, and you can roll into that thing in first gear, and if it'll run 9.0 at the track, it'll run 9.0 on the street. The power is so linear because it turns 8,500, and it's lost like 15 horsepower by 8,500 from peak. It's just a blast to drive.
That's pretty cool.
I what does this thing have for valve train? What are those things? I missed
It's 23 degree.
So it's a regular 23 degree, like conventional head.
Yeah.
It's a Dart Pro 1.
All right, Pro 1.
It's a 23 degree head. Tom Vigue 3V Performance.
No, I
I don't know
don't.
if you're familiar with that name or not.
Yeah, I know Tom.
He originally built the engine for Jake Stelter's Chevelle. And they spent a lot of time on the Spintron, and Tom worked some magic on the heads. It was right at 750 on pump, 93, and turned 8,500. It turns 8,500 like it's nothing.
Yeah, Tom just took the Spintron and moved up to Michigan.
Steve Morse,
yeah. I talked to him Friday.
The normally aspirated guy's got a set of balls because you got to lean on valve train and everything's so hard, to do that drag week thing. Like if there was probably the classes I would be the most worried about would be a nitrous class because, we all know those guys buy pistons and like 24 packs.
Yep.
But something like that you're really trying to lean on, you got to find that line of will it last? Or, because a valve train problem can be pretty catastrophic.
Well, Jay's got balls.
Yeah. That's a tough class.
Yeah. Well, I've got several really smart, naturally aspirated guys in my group of friends that I can call on. Number one, they're kind of like IT guys. A lot of them are hard to talk to. It's because they're so smart. Their brain works differently. Period. And that's I guess that's the reason they're successful. And Tom is no exception. The springs in this car, they're 140 on the seat. So until I started messing with this, I would have never even fathomed that you could have that light of a spring. And even the spring rate is low. But it's a worked out deal.
Yeah.
That's got to be a fantastically stable deal to work like that.
I mean, once you see it on the Spintron, you know what you know.
Wow.
I know. That's cool shit. Well, that's great. So you're ready?
The car's ready. I was actually going to go test it Saturday, and weather wasn't great. There's actually 121 water grains in the air, which is the most I'd ever seen. So I just opted out of going because we're naturally aspirated. If the air's that thick, we're not getting it in the engine. So we'll put it off for a week. But done that, and then just taking some more weight out of the car. And if there's time, I'm really interested in kind of mimicking this engine build in an LS. I'm a Ford guy, I always have been. But the LS platform is, I thought it was the best pushrod platform that I had seen until a couple months ago I took a look at a Hemi head. Those things are wicked.
Oh, you mean the new ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
I had always discounted the Hemis, the new Hemis.
Yeah.
But once I got to look at that and look at one apart, they're nice, and I can see where they would make good power. Really good power.
They are badass once you really get into them.
Well, we know somebody out there is probably real happy about hearing that.
Yeah, Alan's got a little bump in his pants after hearing that.
Little.
I mean, I just wonder how reliable they're going to be in the other aspects.
The Hemi?
Yeah.
I don't know that. So I hadn't done any research until I saw that head. I didn't want to do any. But if it's, everything's good block now. Well, I say that coming from a 5-liter world,
Yeah.
where if you make 500 at the tire, you're going to break the engine. So,
I think the Hemi block is good. I think I know the crankshafts and stuff that we have, support plenty of power. The head is really good. I mean, I know that.
Yes, exactly.
They make power.
Just the architecture of it is wicked.
Are they cathedral port? No, I'm kidding, Jay. They're not.
They're a true square.
I know that. I know they are.
Well, that can't work.
No, it's probably not going to make any power then.
And remember, they have but 2 plugs.
Jay, I know you don't know.
Everything from this point forward, because I started it with the one guy in the chat. He says he was talking about.
You got to explain it to him so he knows.
There's been this debate and argument going on, some of it insane, about changing out heads from a cathedral to a smaller cathedral with a smaller valve to a bigger, I guess, rectangular port, or is an LS7 a square? What would you call it?
They're rectangular.
All right, rectangular. And a not normally aspirated motor. The LS7 head flowed more, bigger valve, bigger runner, and it made 200 horsepower less. I mean, something's wrong. Somebody left a rag in a port. Something. I'm just
same camshaft and
everything. Yeah. So it's kind of a joke on our fan page. So now I'm going to qualify everything by, hey, does it have a cathedral port?
Well, because I was talking to the guy, the one guy, Richard, and he said, should I get an iPhone or an Android? I said, get an iPhone, but make sure you get the cathedral version.
Yeah.
Everything.
I know. So sorry, Jay, we let you in on that late.
Nope, you got it.
So you know what I meant to ask you earlier? What do you do for a living? You're in the security business, right?
I am. Yeah, I own a alarm integration company. We do commercial, mainly commercial, probably 95%, I guess, at this point. We steer away from the residential market. It's too hoard out. ADT will give you a system and charge you $99 and then charge you $50 for the rest of your life, and lock you in.
Yep.
So we went 4 years ago, between 4 and 5 years ago. All I'd ever done was fire alarm and bird and access control stuff. And the company that I was the installation manager for, they were bought out by a national company. So So at that point, well, do I go to work for these guys and just be a number? Because most of the companies I worked for were small, and I like that, that personal interaction with the customer. I have a passion for whatever I'm doing, whether it's working on a car or, or what I do for a living. But I had to make a decision at that point: stay with them, which was out, or do one of two things: either start my own company, doing the same thing, the security integration stuff, or go work on cars. And as much as I love the cars, the model of this industry is recurring revenue. So we have total protection plans for commercial customers. They may have $200,000 worth of product, and they pay us 50 or 60 grand for what is the equivalent of an insurance policy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's per year. So I make money while I sleep doing this, or I have to keep my hands dirty every day for the rest of my life, to make money with cars.
Amen.
I'd rather do it the other way around.
Good choice.
Yep. I mean, what a nice model that is, because if nothing really needs attention, it's free money.
That's right.
It's perfect.
And it's a gamble. They're gambling, we're gambling. And, the more you increase your customer base, the less that risk is. Because 10% of 10 customers is pretty rough, even if you lose them or if you have a lot of problems with them. But 10% of 2,000, we can handle that.
Yep. So, but you still work on cars. You still have a shop, and you still do some stuff.
I do. I probably do as much stuff to cars as I would if I did it for a living. I'm at the shop now. I work 7 to 6 doing the security stuff, and more management now than actual physical work, which I wish I could go back to just being told what to do sometimes. But it's a long-term goal when it comes to that. But then 6 or 7 o'clock, whenever I get done, I wrap that deal up, and I go over and start working on projects. I got several really good customers, and I say customers, none of the guys that I'm still dealing with now are just customers. They're all friends. They become really good friends. Have a small base of those people. I drive one car and build car for a guy out of West Palm Beach. His name's Paul Alfeo. He had a car. Jay Marr was working on it for a while, and then his business model changed.
Yep.
Probably, I guess, 6 years ago or so. And he kind of got out of working on that type of deal.
Yep.
So I kind of took him under my wing and helped him build it, and it's just evolved and keeps evolving. It went from a 10-second car to now it's a 4-second radial Ultra Street car. So
crazy.
I drive that and deal with that, and then of course the owner of the blue car, Andy, he dabbles in a little bit of everything. He likes cars. He likes to buy and sell cars. But he's just like the rest of us. He's a car guy. So they're good people. If they weren't good people, I wouldn't continue to deal with them, because I don't do this for a living. I don't have to deal with people that I don't like. I have a lot of my best friends are they don't live here. I'd say 10% of my group, my circle of friends, live within 100 miles of me. The rest of them are all over the country, from California to Florida, of course.
Yep.
Jay's family, Jay Marr's family, so family. I don't have any. I'm an only child, so I suck anyway. But his family's become just like my family, extended family. So
yeah, he's a good man.
All these guys, we were just talking about it. I would have to tell you that probably I don't think I've met a bad one through this whole project.
Yep.
I mean, not just Drag Week. I mean, the entire podcast.
Yeah, it's been good.
Like, everybody is just, I mean, they're for the most part, they all think alike. They're all, trying to mess with something, trying to make something better. Don't care what it is. It could be a washing machine.
Yep.
And they're like,
Yep.
It just happens.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It's what I said before, having passion for anything. If you have it for something, that's just who you are. So, it's like helping these guys out with these cars. It's because I like helping good people, and a lot of times I help good people for nothing. So
it's very cool.
It's good. That makes me feel good.
So I wanted to touch on another thing too, because our guys really like the technical side of what goes on in cars, and You have, or I mean, you still have a blow-through carburetor deal. I know you told me that it's different now, but that's pretty interesting science to a lot of our guys. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, so probably 7-8 years ago, I was running a lot of local stuff. The car was getting a little faster. You know, it just evolved from a 90 Mustang with an air silencer and a 273 gear to, you know, to a 5-second car within, you know, probably over the course of 10 years. But I was running a local class. I've always been a supercharged guy from the time I put my first S trim on. That's kind of what I've gravitated to, because I learned it. So I don't want to say I got good at it, but, you know, better than I was with a Mitsubishi. So they wouldn't allow us to have intercoolers. You could have any blower you wanted, but you couldn't have an intercooler. They thought that was the devil. But yet I was running against guys who had big blocks and fogger systems. And I started kind of thinking, how am I going to make this work? So being in the middle of where we're at, so I live in Mooresville, North Carolina.
Yep.
And we're right in the middle of all this NASCAR stuff now. You know, just started talking to some people that I know. We do a lot of the security stuff we do is for race teams or engine builders, and just a lot of acquaintances. I just called them up and said, hey, what do you think about this? And I remember one specific guy runs engine dyno stuff for Roush Yates.
Yep.
And he's like, man, I can tell you the difference in the temperature of the air ambient to the top of the cylinder head on these engines, so I can only imagine what it would do if you were forcing air by it. So, you know, yeah, try it. Put a blow through on it. So I made a mistake, called the wrong shop. I didn't know who to call. Called the wrong shop, bought a carburetor. It worked, but not well. And then I landed on Kevin Van Oy from CSU in Fontana. And called him up and said, hey, what can you do for this? And he said, well, open it up. Before I put that carburetor on that blower car, I'd never even had the bowl off a carburetor. So I was, you know, it was like a little black box. I didn't know what was going on in there. And called Kevin. He said, well, does it have boost reference power valves? Looked in it. Of course, no, they weren't. So he said, send it to me. I'll put boost reference power valves in it, and I'll help you get this thing right. And that was the best move I ever made. It was really surprising to me. Number one, the amount of people who said that shit's not going to work. And then
I'm raising my hand. I can't. I mean, I've heard about people talking about the blow-through stuff for a long time, and it just seems to me like what you're basically doing is you're correcting stuff mechanically that you would normally do with a computer. And it seems like from that aspect, it would be so hard to make it okay.
Well, you know, there were several things that we found along the way. Eventually putting the engine on the engine dyno and putting EGTs on every cylinder, we found that the way we were using the power valves wasn't quite right, because we had a 200 degree swing from cylinder 1 to 4. So from the front of the engine to the back of the engine was 200 degrees hotter. So we evened that out by jetting the power valve orifices. So that would have been a problem once we really started leaning on it. But even with those problems, that thing made a ton of power. You know, this was, you look back probably 2008, the guys were running, the car was similar to an NMRA Renegade car. You probably don't know how those cars are set up, but they're non-intercooled. They have a YSI blower. So we put a blow-through on, basically the same engine, and I really didn't have to lean on the thing too hard, and it was going 5.0s at 140 mile an hour, which was, at the time, was faster than anybody had been with a YSI, whether it be intercooled or not. So
that's pretty cool.
The short of that is it works.
Yeah.
Works well. And if you can keep it, you know, thing is, you got, like you said, you got no control over it. So if it wants to do something stupid, it's going to do it. You know, at the time when we first put it on and we hadn't equalized those boost reference power valves, the fuel pump quit on it. So when the fuel pump quit on the car, of course, fuel injected car just shuts off. So what this thing did was it drained the front bowl and ran off the back bowl.
Ooh.
When you're making 32 pounds of boost on this thing, and it's digging at 400 feet out. By the time that I noticed it was laying over, it was over.
Yeah, it had burnt everything up.
A lot of people don't know that like there's everything has a burn window, and the toughest one is like an alcohol, because it'll get better and better and better, and then it's melted.
Yeah.
A lot of times you'll notice a decrease if you're a little on the lean side with a gasoline motor, but by the time that the thing's nosing over, normally in a regular car you'll know that's going on, but in something with boost, I bet that thing just puts a hole right in something.
Yeah,
man, I'd be scared to death to run that.
It had hold the head. Yeah, you could reach in, you could take your thumb from underneath the header and reach in and touch the piston or what's left of it.
Nice.
Yeah, plasma cutter.
Yeah,
so,
that's about what they look like.
Lucky you didn't start the car on fire.
Wow.
Yeah,
that is wild.
I'd never try it. Alan always talked about it. He apparently did one. I make fun of him all the time. I send him pictures of old ass tractors with a bonnet on top, because I could never see it working, but hats off to you, man.
It does. A lot of people have done it.
Yeah.
Well, it's very cool.
And then I've been wanting to do a methanol one, and Kevin, every time I call, he's like, "No, man, we can't move that much fuel through the carburetor and keep it right." Of course, Daddy Dave, he puts a blow through on Goliath.
Yeah.
The Pro Charger.
Yep.
And of course, I call Kevin. All right, what are they doing that we're not, or that we can't? And he goes, I guess nobody has really looked at that thing, but it's got injection under the carburetor. So yeah, it is a blow through, but it's got some support underneath it. So
got it.
It's almost like, why would you want to bother at that point? But
yeah, with alcohol, that gets tough. Because I know what transpires with trying to get fuel through needles and seats.
Yeah.
In a regular environment. Well, now put boost on top of it.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Well, a lot of the guys that do 2 needle seats on each bowl, just so you can get more
but
flow.
Yeah,
but still,
you got to get it through the circuitry. A lot of times, I think that some of these things, when they try to do this, they try to just put a hole. Like it's not even a jet anymore. It's a hole next to the jet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just let fuel get sucked out. So listen, are you actively looking for work? Do you want to plug your deal?
Yeah, well, so the goal is to hopefully the security business I've got a path for it, and it's becoming more independent every day. I still do the car stuff, like I said, at night right now till I'll be here till probably 2:00 in the morning. But end of the year, the plan is for Andy, the owner of that blue car, he's going to come over and we're going to fully separate the business and let Hootie Racing run on its own. We'll, do the whole thing, sell parts, and take in projects. And when I say take in projects, I have small ones now, and I take them as I can fit them in.
Yep.
But the projects that I want to do I want to do cool shit. I don't care anything about changing the gear in a Mustang, or tuning to them 2015 Camaro on a dyno. That doesn't interest me. I want to do the cool stuff. Like
podcasting.
Yeah. I got a 64 wagon. So I had that 64 wagon before I started the security company, and I let it go because I thought, well, starting this deal, and my wife, she's awesome, and she said, I'll support you, but she can say that, but asking her to do that is another thing for me. So I let the wagon go, and that was probably the beginning of 2013, and I have regretted that ever since the day it left here. So about a year and a half ago, I started looking again and couldn't find anything. The 64 was a Southern California car, had some history, in the back window. The coolest thing about the car in the back window was the original sticker from 1968 Pomona NHRA competitor sticker. I guess they used it. One of the teams used it there. Still in the back window. And then in the dash, and I did some research on the car after the fact, but in the dash, there's a booklet from 78 Bonneville. So the car was NHRA pull car, and then a push car for a Bonneville salt flat deal.
Oh man! And you let it go.
Just made everything, and I let it go. So I had been looking, and then right around Turkey Rod Run time down in Daytona, I got a phone call that said, "Hey, you interested in buying that old wagon back?" I was like, yeah. I said, well, the guy goes, well, just driving it down the road, and it had a little 327 in it. Driving down the road, and it kicked the rod out, and I don't have time to mess with it. So you hadn't crashed it or nothing, have you? Nope. I said, all right. I'll buy it. So I bought it, and it took me 8 months to go get it. But again, I'm not a Chevrolet guy, so I don't have a whole lot of parts laying around. And with this LS stuff coming in, we probably got 4 or 5 LS engines we're building in the shop now for different type of things. And I was like, well, I'm not going to do the LS swap. And I've got a whole pile of small block Ford stuff. So tonight I'll be finishing it off. I put a small block Ford deal in it. Of course, we had to make a lot of changes to that wagon to make that work. But it's 5-speed. Yeah, but it's going to be worth it. It's cool. Now, you want to talk about hate? Woo! You tell a Chevrolet guy that you put a small block Ford in a 64 wagon, he'll pretty much just, that's hate in the man's eyes.
Yeah.
You can kind of understand going the other way around. You know what I mean? Putting an LS in a Ford, but putting a Ford in a Chevy, that's just, you know what that's kind of like? I can't say that.
Well, I'm putting a 2J in a Camaro, before I die. So
they're out there already, but you'll be one of them.
Yeah. Hey, I do want to say one thing too, to all the listeners. So Jay is talking about a 64 Bel Air wagon, and he needs some parts. He needs a rear facing rear seat, if anybody out there has.
Okay.
And
it's been the 9-passenger deal.
Yeah. And some trim pieces. I don't know what trim pieces you need, but that's
the only one we can't find is on the back, on the sides of the tailgate. There's the extensions of the top molding, and it comes down around the tail light, about 1.5 inches around the tail light. Every one that we've ordered that was supposed to be for the wagon, back when I had the wagon before as well, they come in and they're short. They're for the sedan. We cannot find that piece of trim, and either, if I can't find it, of course, we're going to have to make something. But that stuff's not, it's not normal trim. It's like that, it's aluminum, like that pot aluminum.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want it to look, I don't want a piece of chrome back there with that dull stuff. And it's a driver, man. I enjoyed the hell out of this car, taking my family to breakfast on Sunday, and that's what it's going to be, a driver.
Can you send me a picture of that, like of the part or something, and I'll get it on our fan page, our website.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, dude. Well, listen. I don't know if you want to give the phone number to security place or the car place, whatever. But we definitely appreciate you coming on and entertaining us a little bit. You want to plug your businesses, names, numbers, and all that?
Yeah. It's Hootie Racing, and right now we do, if you get a call back from me, it'll be later in the evening. Emails Jason@HootieRacing.com, and then Andy's got an email. It's Andy@HootieRacing.com. And, of course, we got the website, not updated nearly as often as it should be because, there's just not enough hours in the day. But that will all change. End of the year, we're going to ramp that up. And then commercial security. Of course, you got to be within, we go as far south as Orlando and as far west as Birmingham. But it's commercial stuff. But that's Sage Security Solutions, and we're based in Mooresville.
Okay.
But yeah, the car stuff, just send emails, go on the website, and the phone number, my phone number, is on the website there, where you can get in touch with me. And we sell parts. We're the whole Holly line. Vortec is a big deal. I've been with Vortec since I started racing 99, 2000. That's all I've ever run. So good, very good product. So,
cool. I'm going to call you after the show because I got 2 questions for you. I can't ask you on the air, but listen,
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, you know what they're about.
You dirty boy, Tom.
Yeah. So, but anyway, Jay, we appreciate you calling. Obviously, we're probably going to have you on after Drag Week after you kick everybody's butt, and
that's the plan.
Yeah, and thanks again, man. We're glad to have you.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys.
All right, man.
Good night.
See you, man.
Too.
Bye, bud.
All good people.
Yeah, he's a great guy, though.
I mean, I don't expect we meet a guy that comes on the show and he's like me.
Yeah.
Well, when he gives you,
I don't want to say it.
When he gives you the picture of the part, I got those guys, Mainstream Motors, they're hoarders for anything antique.
Good.
So I got to see if they have anything in stock.
That would be cool if we can get him hooked up because he's really passionate about that car, just as like a family truckster type thing.
We got a guy on hold. Should I grab him?
Yep. Yeah, we got.
Yo, buddy, you're on the air.
Hello.
What's up?
How you guys doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good.
Speak. What's on your mind?
Well, I was told to call in. I got a bunch of guys down in 260 that we go down and race at Muncie. We all do drag week and all that.
Okay.
So I know were they on here last week or one of the earlier call-ins.
Yeah, the 260 guys.
Mm-hmm.
I forget their names. They were on last week.
Okay, yeah.
we
Fisher has the S10, and Adam Hoxton has the
Yep.
Camaro.
Oh, so you're in their group?
Well, I'm actually kind of on my own up here in Elkhart, Indiana, and I drive my car down there and race with them, have fun, and then, drive back home.
Oh, got it. We were secretly hoping you wanted to talk about Cathedral Port Heads.
Oh, really? No, I'm not on that list. I'm on one of the LS list, unfortunately.
What do you run?
I do Dragweeker in an 86 Camaro. Last year I was in street race, small block power adder, basically 50 index class, if you want to call it that. And I changed the cam like 3 days before I went to Dragweek. It was a good thing to do before you go drive 1,200 miles in 4 days. I thought, why not? Because the other cam I had, it just wasn't working for me. But I ended up, I think, fourth by .003. And last year, I say the year before, I guess, broke the trans on the first day on the first pass, and that kind of ended my week pretty prematurely. I wanted to just complete the week this past year and have a good time and help people, and I did exactly that. So I've been doing big week since 2009 when there was 117 starting. So it's a big drift from where we are now at 400 starting this year.
Yeah, it's going to be. And I was wondering about that too, like how time shots are going to go with all these cars. Like you're going to get 2 time shots by the time you're done here. I mean, it's going to get.
That's going to be it. I mean, really, that's going to be it. If you get 2, you're going to be lucky. This year, the first day was really confusing for everybody, including the people directing all the cars and trying to get them all in the right lanes and the right people in the lanes at the right times. And the first day was a mess. They got it cleaned up the rest of the week, and it was a lot better. But they were doing certain time slots. Well, if you didn't make your time slot for everything other than daily driver, then you were kind of left out, and you had to wait till the second session where everybody had to run. So it was a learning curve with that many people, and 400 is going to be really tough in a couple of these tracks where you don't have a lot of places for everybody to be. So you better have your passes lined up and be able to make them, and then get your stuff together and get back on the road. Because otherwise you're going to be a lot of trouble and not making the list, if you will.
All right. Well, I know that Kevin had actually reached out to you and told you to get in touch with us. I was actually going to contact you over this past weekend to try to get you lined up, but Tom, because of his involvement with the Hoots guy, so probably what we'll do, Tom, are you talking about what you got going on or no? That you got to go or no?
Well, yeah, I got to go, but we have somebody next week, but we could get him in.
Yeah, the drag week guy after. That's kind of how I wanted to try to keep things going.
We can. I'm hoping to have somebody pretty cool on next week, but it's going to be relatively short, probably a 20-minute deal.
Yeah.
So,
and listen, dude, we're not blowing you off. It's just that there's something that Tom has to do tonight.
I got to get out. We got to close the show at 8:00. It's my fault, so we're not blowing you off. But
not really.
Well, Mike will.
Street outlaws and stuff. So I know.
Yeah, it's not that. But we'll get with you online and set something up for next week if you want to continue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
All right, man.
No problem.
Yeah, but just important to know, we're not blowing you off. This is just a bad night.
Yeah, it's
a weird night.
Yeah, it's not even related to the show.
And I think you found out this morning.
Yeah,
right?
I did.
Yeah.
So anyway, we appreciate you calling, and we'll do it next week.
Okay. Yeah,
right.
No problem.
Thanks, man.
All right, man.
Night.
See
Thank
ya.
you.
I hate doing that, but I mean, I know you can't.
I know.
You can't not go.
Yeah,
it's kind of tough.
But it was good though. Jason was good. I knew he would be. He's a fun, interesting guy. We should keep the log from the chat room tonight because there was some stuff on there that we can go back to next week too.
Yeah, quite interesting.
Yeah.
About what?
About the heads.
Okay.
I mean, you should read through it.
Am I going to get mad?
Probably. Maybe a little bit.
Why would you push my buttons, dude? You know it gets bad.
That's what we do.
I have had some very strange requests of what people would like. And because listen, I always kid around that I'm not the internet's guy and everything else. Of course I know my way around the internet.
Of course you do.
One thing that I don't go to is that stupid jerked off Reddit stuff.
No.
Yeah, neither do I.
I mean, that's like magnifying stupidity into a
Yep.
concentrated point.
Yep.
I'm just, I can't.
It's like
and then getting a subreddit of it.
Yes.
exponential stupidity.
Yes. So, but people ask me if they could do an AMA, which I guess is an Ask Me Anything.
Uh-huh.
The young kids know this shit.
Okay.
I don't care.
Yeah.
You could ask me whatever the hell you want.
Hell yeah, that'd be cool, actually. All right, let's officially announce that we are AMA
Certified?
certified and compliant.
Well, I just found out that that's what that meant. And it was weird. I had like 3 people say, why don't you do an AMA where people write in and ask you a question and you answer it on the air?
I think it's a good idea. IMO
Yeah.
would be in my
boy.
in my opinion.
I gotcha.
Got it.
No, IMHO.
So yeah, we'll
or that.
if you guys have
Humble.
stuff that you want to do that, that's fine.
Yeah, send them in.
And we do have like technical guest line backup.
Yeah, we do.
So this is good.
Actually, 3 in a row.
Okay.
And one guy's an engine builder, and he's going to be a blast. He's worked for some big name guys.
Okay.
And he's got his own shop now. He's got a lot of history, and he's funny as hell.
Okay.
And you can't make fun of him because he's a martial artist, and he'll kick your ass. And he really would. No, I mean, he's a great guy, nice guy, but if he had to, he's a badass.
Okay.
It's pretty cool.
All right, and we'll try to get him announced like once everything is solid.
Yep.
Because in this business, everything changes.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yes.
All right.
Anything else, Todd?
No, that's one I was going to ask you before about the graphing and stuff like that. When people share how it changes how it's viewed, but we were a little bit too much into it with the other people.
Yeah, I posted some of the people that listen and where, and it's kind of funny because it doesn't, like, those graphs don't tell you numbers, but that's like in a week span.
Yeah.
So you look at Texas, and Texas might be like 7,500, and you look at like Idaho, and it might be like, I don't know, 1,500 or 500 or whatever. I think the lowest one was Maine in the U.S.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
Well, they got nothing going on.
They even have a drag strip?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know either. But there was like, I
moose.
think like 30. That was the lowest.
Nah,
but like the big states like Texas and some of the other ones, they get pretty
It's
impressive.
Maine. I think they're stoned a lot.
Well, Texas is on the way
That's
to
Colorado.
Oh,
Texas is on the way to Mexico, and they all have to go through Texas to get to Mexico to do those high speed runs.
Yeah. Well,
That's
I mean,
true, Chad.
there's a lot of car people all over, but that number, like the population of that graph, will shift depending on who listens to a post and who shares it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, so Texas isn't always a big one. Oklahoma isn't always a big one. I mean, they're always good, but the best one moves around depending on who shares what.
yeah.
So, I mean, probably what I would tell any of you guys, share whatever one you liked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you thought this one was your favorite, share it to your friends.
Share them all.
Well,
Or
it gets a
the-
little stupid.
The Cathedral per Squareport, and
No, but what I'm saying is, if there's one particular show you like that you think you learned something,
Share it.
share it, because I guess the way this whole thing is supposed to work with Facebook is that a lot of times you're friends with people in your area.
Yep.
And that's the only way that I can draw any kind of conclusion as to why the popularity varies.
Yep.
It's weird. And right to Aaron, our guy from down under.
Yep.
yeah.
That Northwest Territory thing was
zero zip.
zero. Like, no one.
Didn't he say, well, yeah, they're kind of like that out there?
Well, yeah, I asked him, I said, was they already riding around on kangaroos?
He's like, yeah, pretty much.
And they are.
But yeah, so yeah, if there's one you like, share it.
Yep. No doubt.
See if it does anything. I mean, maybe it'd be good. Who knows?
Yep.
So-
Should be.
All right. So next week,
We'll announce that guest quick.
okay, we'll get
It'll be good.
it up quick,
Yeah,
and we'll put a show link up so everybody knows what's going on.
Yep.
And again, if there's any questions for me,
AMA.
Todd or Tom, go ahead.
AMA.
Have
AMA.
at it. All right.
Got it.
it.
IMHO.
We're out. See ya.
Later.
Later.